the purpose of this meeting is for us to try and see how we can improve the user experience for the Talawa-Admin. We have noticed over the last set of pull requests that the admin design doesn't seem to be very intuitive, and I want to make sure that we have something that really is intuitive. Start with the login, that's the basic login, and then we can, you know what, the first experience is going to be somebody registering, right? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we should do the registering. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's do that. Okay.
I guess this should work. Oh, this is
Okay.
again.
No. This is good. We
Actually, therefore, I wanted, like, I opened up here also for if we can have a toggle button to look through the password that what we have added. But
okay.
like at that point, we were not focusing on the actual UI UX issues. We were just covering the test coverages and
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know why this is mismatching it. I'll re-enter everything.
Okay. I'm I think I need a more lightweight thing. Okay. Okay, looks like
Even
it's
the
working.
humans aren't able to solve this reCAPTCHA.
Yeah.
How will
It's
they
not
do
working.
it?
Okay. So we're having difficulties with the reCAPTCHA then. Okay, so this is specifically for reCAPTCHA is not consistent on sign up. All right, but let's log in and see what happens from there.
So I have my email ID and password same. This is from the super admin
Right.
user
Okay.
view. I'll maybe re-enter it once again.
Yes, please go ahead. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so we have a list of organizations. Okay, we need icons working.
And I guess we have the same issue, like the icon is not loading for the profile picture as well.
Right.
Like if I go on the manage organization and on the dashboard over here, we cannot see the picture.
Along with that, some of the buttons are still unfunctional.
And so when you click on members, what do we see?
It's not clickable.
Okay. All right, so you
Any
can't.
of these cards are not clickable. Yeah.
Buttons in the nav are also not working, few of them.
Right.
Like the button to block, unblock is not working.
I'm not sure about this block unblock functionality, but yeah, I also have observed that it re-renders you to the main page.
And so none of these buttons work? That's that what you're saying?
In the under the statistics section, yeah, none of them is working.
Okay.
And
okay. And so how do you actually see events? You have to click on the events link?
I have not explored this part of the admin website yet.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure, how we'll be accessing it. But so
there are few more buttons. Like Ashima, can you click on the top right corner, like where we have the profile photo, and go to settings again?
Yeah.
I think are these functional?
Yeah, these are functional, but these all buttons are functional. But currently, we are talking about these statistics functionality, which resides under the dashboard.
This would be the I see. Profile settings for the administrator, the organization, and delete the organization, etc.
Yeah.
Okay. This is really not intuitive. This does not provide us with something that I think people would want for it to be usable. All right, so what happens when you click on people?
Yeah, it is working.
Okay.
All of these tabs, I guess, are working. Like we have just one exceptions, that is block and unblock, and I'm like sure that it also might require users and it will also work,
Okay.
but I'm not tested it myself yet.
Okay, can you go back to the actual users thing? Yeah, when you did a search for people. Yes, when you search for people. Okay, what happens when you click on Ashima's, your link there for that single person?
Nothing really happens.
Wow, so there's no way to edit a user or add. Okay.
We can just, I guess.
There is a button to remove.
Yeah, but
remove the user.
But I think I should not
Okay.
remove this.
Okay. That's what is contributions? Is that related to donations?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you click on posts, okay, when you click on posts, what do you see? Can you edit it? Yeah. Can you edit the post?
We can edit it, but I checked it last night that we cannot update it.
Based on what I'm seeing, we're going to have to completely revamp the Talawa-Admin user experience.
I actually saw I forgot the name. It was, I guess, Brave, the link which you shared.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was so similar to the UI we have right now,
Right.
but like that UI is 10 times better, I feel. It is like interactive, and like I just saw that many functionalities are also same, like between the admin and that platform.
Right.
So we can also add a few, like handpick a few of them and try to implement it in the admin side.
All right, so let's take a look at the Breeze CHM. Please open another tab and let's take a look at this. No, just search for Breeze CHM in another tab. Click, start instant demo, or start the instant demo, top right hand corner. All right, so so it gives you a dashboard, which I think is interesting, right? Mm-hmm. And let's click on the view full report of people added in the last 7 days. Okay, so everything has, yeah. All right, so let's click on the people.
And we see this.
Just click on one person and then let's see. Okay. Okay. Now, as you can see, this is much more intuitive than what we have.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And
I really love this whole user detail situation here. Like,
yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so what we need to do is to write an idea that highlights many of these features, because this is what we ultimately would like to be able to see. All right. And so, okay, so you can actually, when you click on marital status, can you click on the link on the left-hand side and the left-hand?
Yeah. Okay, so this is, I guess, a filter.
Yeah. Okay. And, all right. So you have filters on. All right. Good.
Yeah. So, okay. The filters are on and I guess they're working.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So they have some way in which they can do these things. And they have ways in which they can edit. So they have a people. And let's click on tags. It's at the top. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I couldn't really want me
in the map bar.
Yeah, please, in the app bar.
In the map bar, check second.
Yeah. App bar, please click on tags. And so you can see how the user experience is so much better, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what we need. And so what they have now is that they have groupings of tags. And so let's click on somebody. Just click on like one of the tags. Don't necessarily edit them. Yeah, okay. That's because you're only changing the names, but click on the tag itself. I think you can.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. So right. So it's just like Gmail. You can add tags to people, just like you can add tags to mail. Okay.
Okay, the tags are also working in that manner.
right? And so now you get the people view filtered by tag. And so therefore you can now find everybody that is in preschool, everybody that's in the nursery, everybody that's in K-3, etc.
Yep.
So it's a much better experience. So let's click on events. And I think with events they have a calendar view.
Yeah. This is, I think, somewhere similar to Google Calendar
That's
in
right.
some manner. Yep. And the UI is really clean and like amazingly interactive, I must say.
Right. Yeah. So this is what we should be using as our gold standard to get to where we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is done by a company that has a very large market share in the United States, and many of the features that we see here, it gives you a good idea as to what we would like to achieve, but in an open source way. Okay.
I think
And so
these.
when you see this, you understand the utility of what Talawa could be. But we have the advantage in that we also have a mobile app on top of this, right? So that you can now, from this dashboard, for example, the administrator can post directly onto the news stream or the news feed of the mobile app. People can interact just like they would with Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or whatever. But then there's also this back-end management that can be used to manage all the members that are using the app as well, behind the scenes. And so now we have a more feature-rich and functional experience.
And I feel by improving this, we can also make it useful, and people out there can actually make use of Talawa.
Right.
So I think we should really focus on these features on the admin.
Okay. So what we have is a need for an improved people. So I think if we're going to be doing ideas, we could potentially do something that says we need an overall UI design. We need somebody wants to create the overall UI design, and then that person focuses on people and tags because those are sort of related because they're filtering methodologies. Can you click on tags one more time? Because I want to make sure that they're tags related, whether the tags are just related to people or whether they are also related to like events. Can you tag events? So click on any of the other ones, like small groups. Click on that one and see what we see.
So I guess these are people tag only, because if we had events
Right.
tag,
Right.
we must have a view like events
Okay.
view, which I don't see.
All right. So they're really focused on the people side.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's click on events. Let's click on events. I hope this is opening your minds.
Actually, when I saw the Breeze like interface, I just saw it like 5 minutes below the meet started,
Right.
and I could relate to a lot of features that would make amazing sense in Talawa.
Right.
So, like I was like the calendar, I'm not sure what events open up to in the dashboard, but yeah, we can add this
Right.
calendar thing just after the events,
Right.
which really was like, I don't know, it's cleaner, it's like much more interactive, and I guess
Yeah, it looks good.
yeah, everyone is useful because Google Calendar is a global
Right.
platform which everyone is using. So
So
implementing it would be great. Yeah.
So let's click on this. And so we have posts. So the whole idea behind posts was not that we're posting like to a blog. The idea was that we'd be posting to the news feed. And so the idea would be that somebody would come in. Let's go back to the Breeze environment, please. The idea is that somebody would log into the dashboard and they would be able to do a broadcast message to everybody through the mobile app, and so there'd be that news feed would be specifically for the purposes of broadcasting messages like please remember that on Saturday we're going to be having the barbecue, and you send that out to everybody, right?
So
And so that would be, and so that you don't have to use your phone for that. We would also have plugins for things like advertising, and advertising, because it now has this linkage into the news feed, then you could do the advertising straight into the news feed from the dashboard through the plugin. So the news feed for the dashboard would be relatively simple, just very similar, just like how you have a web version of LinkedIn and a web version and a mobile app version.
like
But
Facebook or Instagram.
right, but the news feed would be just very, very limited to not necessarily being full featured, but just enough so that you can administer things. You could go through the news feed and maybe flag events or delete people's news feeds, things, stuff like that. Those are the types of things that we could potentially do. And that was the idea behind all of this. So let's click on one of the events. Let's see what we have there.
So I guess we can check in, we can volunteer, and we can view details.
Okay, let's view details. Okay, so this is interesting, that the way that they've handled it. So I don't see why we couldn't do something similar.
And
all right. And so now they have an attendance view.
yeah.
So you can now start managing. Right. So now you can see whether your children's services are worthwhile. 2 or 3 weeks ago we had 14 people, but now we have less. So what that now can be now used as a management tool. And now we already have this check-in feature, so that would be something else that we could do. All right.
That we really don't have this volunteer feature, right?
No, not yet, but it's an idea that we have. Okay, so can you go back? Let's go back and take a look. Let's take a look at that same event, but there was a pop-up for something else, right? One of them was for the event details, and then there's for check-in, so that allows. So the reason why they have check-ins is that, say for example, you're having a service, or so in the Christian context, the service is the actual event where everybody comes to pray. What it would be like in the context of a Hindu temple? What do you call that? It wouldn't be a service.
I think we go to temple to pray. So I guess service is where you guys like gather, and I guess, yeah.
So service would be the name of the event where everybody comes together and pray. So what would happen is that you would have somebody at the front door as people are walking in, and they would just say, hello, like, welcome Ashima, welcome to the church service, and then you check them in. So now you know that Ashima came in through the front door.
Okay, so basically we are letting in the people who really want to attend that particular event.
Not so much that. It's not so much as not necessarily as a means of making sure that they're invited, because it's a community organization and you want to let people in. It's up to the organizers to say whether that person is checking in or not. But if you are having a service and everybody wants to come to pray, you're not going to be telling them, well, you can't pray today because of whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So
is it somewhere related to RSVP?
Yeah. So you'll be checking in people. They don't necessarily have the RSVP. They can just walk in through the door, and you have greeters, people greeting everybody and saying, hey, how you doing? Okay, is everybody here? Yes, all right. All 5 family members? Okay, good. Click, 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 click. And so now when you've done that, you now have a state of all the attendees. And now if you have that data month over month over month, you can now get data as to whether your service is resonating with your community.
Yeah.
Okay. And
getting the whole point.
Right. So that's why the check-in is so important. So let's take a look at volunteers. Let's click on that.
You don't want to have a look at check-in?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. But they have a video online in which they talk about it. But let's check in.
Yep. Okay,
Let's
so
right.
we
See,
can.
as simple as
Yeah.
that. So they can use this on a tablet,
Okay, got it.
right? You don't have to have the actual mobile app running. You just log into Talawa-Admin on and see they have a kiosk mode.
Yep.
All right. So let's take a look at volunteers. Look at the difference, man. It's like, whoa.
I think with like dedicated goals, we would be able to achieve the same thing
Right.
within the coming months.
Okay.
So here we go. Like this is what opens up after we click on volunteer.
Right. Okay. And so you can actually provide people. Okay. So you can add volunteers to the event, which is a feature that we have with Talawa API at the moment. When you create an event in the mobile app.
I think this one is to request volunteer, maybe a post or something, that type of sort. Like define the volunteers roles needed for this event.
Right. Right.
So it is just ask for volunteer, that if someone is, maybe if I write over here that we need volunteers for food service, and
Right.
I just add the number
How
of
many?
volunteers, and I can publish the like ask maybe that okay, we are conducting this event and we require this much volunteer for this particular
Right.
section.
That's right.
And then like people can click yes or no if they're interested, and once the account fills, we can stop accepting more people, something like that.
Right. Right. Okay, so
Do we need a feature?
we essentially have the template for what we can do. Right? We have a reasonable template of what we can do to create something that is really, really usable. And I don't think it's that hard because we have the data. Okay. So from the very beginning, I've been asking people to take a look at this church management software because it has these features that are really nifty. And look at this. So now I think everybody's eyes are open and say, whoa, Peter, you're right. And let's take a look at more. What other things can we do under more?
Contributions, follow-up, and forms.
Okay.
Extension.
All right, good. So you have extensions, which are basically plugins. All right, so this basic layout looks like it's very simple that we could do. Okay. So what we could potentially do as an idea is to have an idea in which we have something that looks very similar to this in terms of the general layouts. Have a dashboard, people, click on people, and you get all these various things, click on tags. But if for a Google Summer of Code, for a Google Summer of Code idea, we can't really be having a very detailed requirement document, right? It has to be very sort of broad, but people need to be looking at this and saying, oh, this is what the idea is all about, right? And so they can start thinking about this in a way that will be very useful. So we're going to need to have an idea which talks about the general layout of the Talawa-Admin app with some of these placeholder icons and menus. We don't necessarily have to have everything working, but at least a placeholder so we can fill them in over time. And then once we have that overall design layout, we can now have people saying that I will work on the people functionality, I'll work on the tags functionality, the events functionality, etc. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right. So what I'll try to do is to try and create an idea for the overall layout, and I will have a link to Breeze so that people understand what we're talking about. And maybe have any improvements on that. Then I will also probably have ideas to say in the dashboard we mentioned that in our design we want to have a people section, and so we need somebody to work exclusively on the people section and or the tag section, and then the event sections, etc. So I think that will be helpful. All right, so based on what you're seeing with people, right, so click on any one of those people. All right. Based on this, now people are going to be putting in this information about themselves from the mobile app, and we may want to be able to add additional information from the person, about the person, through the admin portal that we have here. Right, so they may, in the mobile app, they may have only a limited amount of information, but somebody can go in afterwards and say, oh, this is whatever, their status is this and that, blah, 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 blah. And so we can keep that information up to the role of the person. So you don't have to have a complete picture coming from the mobile app. We could, but we need to think of what that could look like. All right, so I'm assuming that we can click on any of these things and click on edit, right? So,
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's in the actual titles. All right, perfect. All right, so based on this, looking at people and these functionalities, does this look like 175 hours worth of work, or is it like a 350 hours worth of work? When you start thinking about what it would look like in terms of the mobile app.
I was thinking if someone is working on the people section, that person can also take up the tag section.
Right.
Because it is somewhere related to the people section itself.
Right.
So if we combine these two things, we can establish a 350-hour project, and
Right.
like we can also have these two important functionalities done and dusted within that project itself.
Okay, and so then what we could potentially do is tie the design with events as a second project. Right.
So maybe we can...
and then we also have the plugins as a third project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think event itself would be a difficult thing to implement, because we have these so many calendar views, and then adding the event, editing the event itself, and then like
the details section,
the details, exactly.
Right.
with that check-in volunteers,
Yeah.
a lot of functionality.
Right.
It will be a huge project. Like I think we can keep revamp. We can keep 3 revamp projects in which we can distribute these functionalities evenly, I think.
Okay, hold on. So do you think events on its own would be 350, or would it be less or more? Because we could split it in 2, right?
Either we can have I am not sure, either we can have a 350-hour project, or we can also split it into 2 175-hour.
No,
I'm not really sure.
what I meant was that could we have 2 350-hour projects for events?
No, I don't think so. I think it would be easier to implement event in 350-hour project itself, because these code bases will be available online.
Right.
Because this is just a I will say clone of Google Calendar to some extent. So we can find usable components, and we can also take inspiration from code base outside. So I feel the major task over here would be connecting it with the backend, and I think that part will take time rather than the UI and the functionalities. We can get them easily online.
Okay, so the events with check-in would be could be combined, because we currently have a check-in feature.
Yeah, we can maybe combine that.
Okay, all right, that would be good to know. So based on what we have at the moment, we have people and tags, events, and then possibly like a layout thing that we could have as well. Okay, because the layout is going to be a little more complicated, because the way that this works is that you have this layout for an individual organization, and then we have the super admin, which would have multiples of these underneath it, right?
And I think we will also be having so many calendars, right? Which will be having one view in the common calendar over here in this interface. Okay, now I'm not sure if we should combine it with the check-in one or not.
Okay. We can, whoever's going to be coming up with those ideas, they would have to determine whether they want to do the check-in. But I think the check-in is important because it provides statistics that could be useful. Because that's one thing many of these organizations cannot put their finger on. They are providing services to a community, and how can you tell whether your services are being appreciated by people? The only way that you can do that is to have a check-in process.
Yep.
Right? Because it doesn't make sense people saying, yeah, there are lots of people who are there. How many people? Which people? What are their backgrounds? What tags are they? Right? All of that stuff. It just doesn't make sense.
I think for
having data is important.
Yeah, because the value is in the data. The value is in the data. So the value here is in the people are very important because you can make them have the tags, right? And then you have the people information. And then you can tie the people to the events. And that now provides you with stuff to work with. Okay. All right, so I hope you all see the value of what I've been thinking about. This was the system that I wanted to see implemented in open source. Because once you start with this, then people can start, a flood of new ideas can be built on top of this. So people who are going to be doing the Google Summer of Code stuff, of course, we're going to have something that says we want to revamp the user interface to look something like what we have here. We want to do the people and the tags. We want to have the events. But then now there's this grand opportunity. If somebody knows that there's going to be this re-engineering, they know that we're going to have a people and tags thing. They know we're going to have events. What else could be added in so that you could have a competitive advantage in the Google Summer of Code to be accepted? What else could there be? And so we've always recommended to people to try and submit. I think you can submit up to 2 ideas per in total, and maybe 2 ideas per project, per organization.
I guess in total.
Yeah, in total, right. So if you're really invested in what we're trying to do with the Palisades Foundation, you could do 2 different projects and see which one works. So one of them could be one of these standard ones, and the other one would be that mysterious, fabulous one that could be used in an unusual way. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't think of what those other features would be, but you guys are smart. You guys work with coding all the time. What else are there surrounding people, events, and these sorts of organizations that would be important? What other things would these organizations want? And one of the things that I would suggest to all of you, if you're really interested in this, is to show this to people in your community and say, look at this. Does this look like something that would be interesting? What else could be added to this to make this really great? So you don't necessarily have to come up with the idea yourself, right? You can ask people.
Actually, there was a 30-day workshop kind of event at my college. So we didn't make a full-fledged event management system, but it was like an attendance tracker. When the students come, so
Right.
We were the hosts, right? So that and we have a QR code. So before they can enter the classroom or the venue, they have to scan the QR code, and then based on the QR code, we can extract all their details of the account, like name and all that. So we had this live attendance kind of thing.
Right.
So when they enter and exit, they have to scan the QR code, and we will be sending outside for it. So I think we can do something like that.
Well, we also remember that in many of these organizations, not everybody's going to be coming with their phone. Not everybody's going to have a QR capable scanning phone. They're going to have um, like feature phones that may not necessarily have web browsing capabilities. So you're still going to need to have that manual thing, right? So that people can say hello. You could have that QR as an option, but I think the real challenge would be, how do you get data related to people who may not necessarily have the technology to make things easy for the administrator, and B, may not want to use the technology even though they have it. Right? So you can imagine, just think about your mother or your grandparents, right? Or your mother, father, grandparents. Yeah, they may have a phone. In my mother's case, my mother is very old. She's 94, and I communicate with her by WhatsApp, and it is a challenge for her to do it. She doesn't feel very comfortable using it. It's a whole newfangled thing, and she's capable of doing it, and she does it. But you don't get this feeling that if she went into her church, for example, and walked through the front door, and somebody said, give me your QR code," that is an automatic barrier to people wanting to come and pray, right? Man, you mean I need a QR code to pray? Can't I just do that at home? So we we have to be careful about how people envisage this. Okay. So it's always good to think about how people are going to use this, and whether the people that are going to be using this are tech savvy or want to be tech savvy. So please keep that in mind. Your idea is very good, and we could have that in certain circumstances. So maybe like the youth clubs in one of these organizations. You might have a cricket club, and then you have the youth team, and then the under 17 team, and the under 21, and all of that. And some of these people might love the QR code thing, but other people may not necessarily want it. So I mean, just think it through, right? Don't
Maybe we
necessarily.
can implement these functionalities along with the tags.
Right.
That if we have a tag which somewhere defines the youth age group, we can avail these functionalities for that.
Right. And another thing that you could do, like for the user, you could like somebody's coming in, they could say, like you're checking in. Oh, we don't have you in your system, right? And let me just add you in the tablet right now. And so you say, okay, what's your name? What's the blah blah blah? You have a drop down from the thing, and you can just automatically add them and say, hey, thank you very much, and we can work with that. So that's another option. Okay.
We can maybe also have a guest option or something. Like if someone is visits you out of state somewhere,
right,
and he just happens to come to your church, so you can just have a guest option.
Right. All these various things are things that we could add, but the core of what we're going to be having in terms of the idea for the GSoC is just going to be on the very, very basics, right? It is for those people to look and say, all right, I want to do people and tags, but here is how I'm going to make people and tags even better than what we have right now, right? Here is events. I see something like events, but here is how events is going to be even better, right? That is what we need to, this is the way that people need to be looking at it. I think this would be much better if we added another item on the menu bar that does X, right?
I think we can leave this to the creativity of someone who would be
exactly, right?
making the proposal. Yeah, because the possibilities will be endless.
That's right.
And and I think if all of us will sit through it and think about it, we will be able to reach to great ideas which we can implement in the lab and make it a better place.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I think this was very good because we've seen what Talawa is and what Talawa could be. And I think we can get here within the period of GSoC. the
This
underlying
is like actually what I expected Talawa to be when I
right.
started to see it. Yeah.
No, when you're working with volunteers and stuff, and I try to coordinate a lot of things with various types of people. I we it's always difficult to work with multiple teams, and it's also difficult also for various different reasons to work with volunteers and that sort of stuff. And so now we recognize that this is a shortcoming, but it's not too late. And so we can find ways in which we can make improvements. And so that's something that we need to think through. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Actually, the
because along
check-in
with
part
that,
is already there as an idea, right? The
Yes,
admin check-in.
yes, it is, but we can always move it around, right?
Yeah.
Because it really is a subset of events.
No.
I was saying something like, shouldn't we implement the OTP on our forgot page and even on the login and register page? They will make them look more dynamic, and we won't need the reCAPTCHA for them. Just
Right,
like we have in softwares like Instagram, Facebook.
right,
Like we need to first register our email and credentials on a single page. We click on enter. It leads us to the next page where we need to enter the OTP, or it is automatically rendered.
right.
That too depends.
But
Then we go to the
Anurag,
next page.
The
I
yeah,
think automatically rendering of OTP is not a good idea for web applications, and
Yeah, yeah.
like it is like as Peter said, it is not necessary that everyone will have a phone. If someone is on the system, I think it will not be of great ease for them to check their phone for specifically OTPs. Here, reCAPTCHA add a great value. I feel it is much more handy.
right. We need to think of ways in which we get these functionalities. The core functionality at the moment, it really are the features for the administrator. The things like OTP and some of these other things in the short term, if we spend a lot of time trying to get that implemented, it means that that's less time that we're spending to get features that would be meaningful to the administrator. OTP can be added on
Yeah.
at the very, very end. Let's not make these things distract us. And so now you
Else we'll
understand
be deviating from our path.
exactly. And I think now you understand why we've been saying don't focus on new features during the GSoC period, right? Because it has been our experience that things change so radically that it doesn't make sense spending the time on this stuff. What it makes sense doing is improving the testability, improving the installation experience, working with mentors to try and figure out how things could be done. We may open things up later on to try and see whether we can do the beginnings of new layouts, for example, as issues. That could be something, but I'd rather not be doing that, because what that means again is that somebody would come in and say, yeah, you've done all these changes to the layout, but this is what I think the new layout should be. And so they have to redo all of that work all over again. So why spend that time? There needs to be a more constructive discussion about what we want to achieve to get this thing done. Yeah.
I had one question I wanted to ask. Like,
Yes.
were these buttons working or these cards working ever? Like, can we work on it?
Yeah, we could potentially do that. Yeah, we could.
Because like right now they are not accessible. So can we make
Right.
it accessible in some manner?
Yeah, let me think this through. Because we could do some of these things. But I think what we would have to do is let's get the ideas put down or modified, and so we can say that if you're going to be adding a feature, it would be done so that that it would accelerate the implementation of a GSoC idea,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Getting it.
Right. So yeah, the button needs to be editable, whether or not we have a new design layout. The members that are underneath it, they need to be editable, whether or not we have a new design layout. So some of those things
Okay, now
would be
I have
required.
one question.
Yeah.
So we want it to be editable, or we want it to open up to a new page where we can actually see the list of all the members and we can actually manually add them or edit their details or delete them, like we had in Breeze.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
So that base functionality can be there. We don't necessarily need to
work on the styling,
on the
but
styling, but the
functionalities.
functionality is
Yeah.
going to be important.
Okay.
Okay.
So
But I need to be able to let the mentors be aware of that. I
okay.
need to make sure that we have the idea or the ideas that we just spoke about put on the ideas page, so that everybody has a fair chance at this thing. I really want to make sure that nobody can say we did something and nobody else had a chance. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Also, one small suggestion: can we remove reCAPTCHA from login? Because
yes.
because I have registered once,
Yeah.
and always telling what are the crosswalks and where are the bridges is
Right.
sometimes frustrating. So maybe can we remove it
Yeah.
from the login and we can let it be on the registration page?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
For the login.
Yeah, we could. Once again, let me get the ideas updated. I don't. There's not enough hours in the day for me to do all of this stuff, but I will try, and then we can work from there. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your patience. I know that it's been a hard night for many of you, but I think this has opened up many people's eyes to what could be done.
Yeah.